Okay, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA here today talking with Damien Beatdown Brown, one of Australia's leading MMA fighters, having competed in more than 30 bouts across many different organizations, most notably UFC and recently Rizin. Damien, like I said, you're a man of many skills. You can drive and talk and eat at the same time. Amazing.
Well, just to be clear, my hand's not in my phone. But yeah, I can do many things. I guess like the busier life is, the more you learn to do things as you go.
And actually, the reason I just talked to you a minute ago, and you mentioned about liking to be busy. Another interview I was listening to, you mentioned about OCD, that you feel like you've got OCD and that you need to be busy all the time. Can you talk on that at all?
Oh yeah, man. It's like there's people in this world that can lay on a beach all day and think about nothing, and there's people in the world that lay on the beach and think about doing things that's not laying on the beach. And I can't do downtime. I'm busy all the time and I think about having downtime, but then when I have downtime, I think about things that I could be doing. And it's funny because it's not making money. Like, I don't think like, I could be doing this to make money. Like, it's not that. Like, I have downtime like, I could be training, or I have downtime like I could be coaching someone. Like, I'm so passionate about coaching. Or just anything, like I just can't do downtime. It doesn't sit with me.
Yeah, I think that's how people are successful, right? I mean, people that are active and doing productive things, that are people that are successful doing day in, day out, doing productive things, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be on the ball all the time. I mean, it's easy to get content. I was pretty content like 2 months ago before I moved my gym, and now I'm crazy. My life's crazy again. But yeah, definitely. It's definitely. I think you have to be constantly going to be successful. I don't think you get to just sit on your hands and watch shit grow for you, unless maybe you're invested in Bitcoin.
That's true. So Damien, I've been listening to a few of your podcasts and that, and one of the things that kind of sticks out is that you're like a positive type of guy, and you're willing to help people. You're talking about helping veterans or other people that are suffering from mental difficulties, psychological difficulties such as PTSD, etc. I kind of like to talk to you about what you feel exercise role is in sort of rehabilitation and just helping people that have mental issues, etc.
Oh, look, man, I think, it doesn't have to be exercise, but we've all got that something that, that sort of stimulates us, you know what I mean? And I feel like I can't talk for everyone that's got PTSD, but I can talk with veterans. And I feel like the biggest issue with military in general is, you tell them you're not sleeping right or you got some kind of mental health issues. First thing they do is take all the firearms off you. And, if you're an infantry soldier with PTSD, they basically take your life off you. And then they take you from a normal platoon and they put you in with a group of people who are doing rehab for injuries, which is, everyone knows that injuries lead to depression, that lead to negative sort of like environments. And then it just snowballs, it just keeps going until all of a sudden you're at the bottom, you've hit rock bottom. I don't think that they take an active approach into, helping people get over this stuff while carrying on with the things that mean something to them. And then even worse, like when they medically discharge you, guys just sit at home, there's nothing for them to do, and everything costs money, and your pension's not enough for you to go and do everything. It's barely enough to live on. So I think that, people just need to find that something. I know there's a bunch of groups out there that do they fix cars or build race cars, and then they go to the events and if they fix the cars at the events and whatnot. So I know there's a bunch of different stuff. Me personally, I like jiu-jitsu. I feel like it's what I feel like helps veterans, and I think it's slowly getting, it's been proven, and it's slowly getting sort of integrated into Veterans Affairs is, paying for it, and they're recognising it as well, is that hand-to-hand combat forces you to think about what's going on at that point in time and not anything else. So if you've got you're sitting at home on the lounge and you're thinking about the worst things that's happened to you as a veteran and the things, traumatic incidents and whatnot, then I feel like it's if you go and do jiu-jitsu, it takes you away from that, because there's an immediate threat. The immediate threat forces you psychologically to focus on what's going on at that point in time. And that for most veterans is an escape from what troubles them at any other time. So that's just the escape part. But you got the physiological responses to, to training. Everyone knows, like, the hormone releases and the benefits to training as well that flow onto that. So you've got the escape. Jiu-jitsu is the hand-to-hand combat without the black eyes for the most part, and like the actual immediate threat of being punched in the face. So you can sort of do it without losing brain cells and all the rest of the stuff that comes with doing combat sports at a professional level. So you can escape your lounge room by going to jiu-jitsu. I think that the other thing is, like, it's such an addictive sport that the flow on is not just physical responses, but also you start to think about jiu-jitsu. So anyone that does it knows how addictive it is. And you tend to spend some time thinking about it, and then you tend to drive home thinking about it, and then eventually you drive to the gym thinking about it. And now your escape when you get in the car to go to jiu-jitsu, you're thinking about jiu-jitsu. You're not thinking about fucking that time you got shot at or the time your car got blown off. You're thinking about jiu-jitsu, and then you're doing jiu-jitsu, and then you think about jiu-jitsu, and then maybe you start watching it. I don't know, like, if you're sitting home, you got nothing else going on in your life. You got the physiological benefits, the psychosocial benefits. The benefits go on. Like, they're never ending. I think that people with PTSD, mental illnesses, should do some kind of stimulation in their life. The biggest issue is that a lot of them can't socialize with other people, and that's the hump, trying to get over that. But yeah, there's massive benefits.
It also seems these days that you can quickly be prescribed drugs for different things. I can't really talk on PTSD, but when you talk about like depression, etc., friends of mine go to the doctor and straight away they're given drugs. They're not told, what other things you're doing in your life, or you're exercising, you're eating well, you're sleeping well, all these things, when that can affect things too, right?
Well, we've seen it with, COVID. The pharmaceutical world wants you to take medication. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much money in it. They don't want to tell you that going to the gym and spending your $15 on your membership to lift weights is better than taking some kind of fucking antipsychotic drug for a traumatic incident. Now, I'm not saying that medication shouldn't be used, because in some cases it's a requirement, but there's plenty of management tools that you can explore prior to being medicated into, like, medicated into a numbness, for want of a better word. So a lot of the medications, this is my personal experience, not opinion, is that medication is a masking agent. And while it makes shit goes away, it never makes shit go away. Do you know what I mean? Like, it makes it go away while you're taking medication. Yeah. It's always fucking there. So you need to find a way to manage that. If you can't find a way to manage your symptoms, and you can't find a way to manage your experiences, then you'll forever be on medication. And we all know that medication becomes weak after using it for some time. And there's a point where you need to increase that medication. How far down the rabbit hole do you go before you work out that you still need to find a management plan? Do you know what I mean? So if you're not doing your best to manage your own symptoms and your own sort of like experiences, then really you're just masking the problems. And that's a slippery slope in itself. Again, I'm not a doctor, so at times medication's a requirement, but I still think, from my own experience, not opinion, that you still need to have a management plan. Even if you're taking half a dose of medication and managing it, it's better than taking a full dose of medication. So that doesn't mean people have to do jiu-jitsu. It just means that you got to find whatever it is that helps you. So some people, like I said, they start working on cars, they get in their own world. 8 hours later, they've been working on an engine. They feel awesome. You know what I mean? You're not doing it as a job. You're probably doing it once a week. You know, you might do 2 hours a day, drop the kids at school, and then you go off and work on a car for a couple of hours, or I don't know, play snooker or whatever it is that stimulates you.
True. But like you said, there is something. Yeah, true. Like you said, there is something magical about jiu-jitsu sometimes, right? That it can make its way into your life, etc. So yeah, definitely a good benefit from that, right? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, that's my experience anyway.
Yeah. So jumping back into what I had planned, it was quite a few years ago. I first met you, Damien, back in Macau, and it was about 9 years ago. I think you fought in Macau. You fought twice here against Koji Ando and also against Wu Hao Tian. Notably, Wu Hao Tian actually beat Dan Hooker. I watched that fight over in Hong Kong as well. So that by MMA maths, that means you should pretty much be going for the title soon in UFC, right?
Everyone knows MMA math don't work.
Exactly.
Dan's the man, bro. He, you know, he's spent a lot of time evolving, and hey, everyone knows the only way to beat those CKB guys is to sub them, because they're going to knock your ass out and defend takedowns all day long.
That's
but
true.
You know, they got a good jiu-jitsu game, you know, but it's I think everyone's journey is very individual. Rob Whittaker got knocked out over there as well, so you know, he's only lost prior to the UFC was on Legend FC against a Korean opponent, I believe.
Yeah.
And so you know, anything can happen in this wonderful sport. Everyone's only a punch away in 4-ounce gloves from a loss. So yeah, it's MMA math would be a beautiful thing. If it existed, I'd probably be worth a lot more fucking money, that's for sure. But yeah, that was a funny one. That one, that fight was planned like 8 weeks out, and then they told me it wasn't going to happen. And then so I wasn't training for it. I've always worked full time throughout my whole career, so I wasn't training for it. And then 5 weeks out, they're like, "Oh, we want to offer you this fight." I'm like, "Of course you do." Like, he's 14-1. You know, I'm fighting China against a Chinese opponent from China's top team, who's probably, like, you know, meant to be one of the next big things over there. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it." You know, I never shy away from a challenge. I've never said no to an opponent. Yeah. So anyway, I took it, and it was a crazy fight, man.
You threw him on his head by memory. I remember you throwing him over a few times, right? Slamming him.
Yeah, I picked him up with a high crotch, single leg, and suplexed him over my head. But it was more like I just picked him up in the air. I remember he hooked his feet on the ropes, on the bottom rope, then the second rope, then the third rope, and then, like, if you watch the highlight, he hooks his leg on all 3 ropes.
Yeah.
And till I got him high enough to flip him. But basically just dropped him over the back of my head and landed in side control and landed a knee to the head on the ground. But tough as nails, man. He got back to his knees, and the fight finished just after that. That was about 40 seconds to go in the fight. So it was a nice way to sort of stamp my name on that victory.
Yeah. No, he's a very strong fighter, Wu Hao Tian. I've watched quite a few of his fights. He's fought in a couple of organizations in China where I watched him.
Yeah, well, his only loss was like a knockout in 30 seconds. So, like, the idea that I was going to sub him or out wrestle him or out strike him was like, you know, he was very well rounded. He had a good striking game, good wrestling game. And he'd subbed Dan Hooker prior to me fighting him. And it was pretty crazy too. I remember he dropped Dan, or like,
yeah, he dropped him. He dropped him first, and then he took him out. It was a solid hit. I was there. I'm thinking,
and then he took his back and he was squeezing. I remember just fucking blood going everywhere. He must have had a monster squeeze on him, but yeah, it was you know, it's one of those fights where the odds were definitely stacked against me, and I feel like they stacked them against me a little bit more. But we went over there and got the job done. So always makes me nervous when you go to a decision against someone in their hometown. Like if you look at my record and then you watch the fights that I lost by decision, there's there's a lot of the fights that I lost by decision were against guys that live just down the road, and I travelled 30 odd hours across the world. So yeah, it's interesting for sure.
And so just looking at your history, you've had, like, obviously you've fought in Macau. You've also largely fought in Australia, but you had the chance to travel around a bit: Ireland, Kuala Lumpur, Jordan, England, New Zealand, US, Japan, in Saitama, Tokyo, and Osaka. How do you find those trips? Is that something that's been interesting? Any interesting stories or unusual places that you can talk on?
Yeah, look, man. I think there's two different journeys in the MMA world. One is like maybe like the classic sort of, American, just fight in America, fight all the way to the UFC title, make heaps of money, and that's your legacy, is you made a fuckload of money and you fought for the UFC title. And then I think the other journey is, you got the people that are more about the fight game than they are about the money, which I don't know whether that's right or wrong. It's prize fighting, so you should be about the money. But, I've had some wonderful experiences. So I think you got that kind of guy as well. Like you look at, I think it's Jesse Taylor, I think. Your
camera's just ducked out, bro. Are you on there still?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, someone's trying to ring me.
No worries.
There we go. You look at like Jesse Taylor. I mean, he got on tough and fucked it up, and then pretty much from there, like he traveled everywhere. Like he's like the best in the world that's not signed to the UFC.
Yeah.
Then he got signed to the UFC and got popped anyway. Fucking idiot. But yeah, I think that's the other side of the career is like you either got these guys that like cruise around and they have like the best stories. I fought everywhere in MMA. Like and that's what I get to. I made some money in the UFC and I opened a big beautiful gym, and I feel like I probably got close to the best gym in the country at the moment. And we don't have a lot of pros, mostly amateur guys, but we only been open 2 years, and it's huge, man. So I feel like that's definitely where my journey's taken me. And that's, I've got the memories and the stories to go with it, and not so much the money, but I don't really care about that. Like I said, I think there's two different paths. One is straight to the top and you make money and get out. Maybe that's better for your brain, but the other journey is, plenty of experiences like yourself. I fought everywhere, mostly, and I've got a lot of stories from that, and it's been a really exciting journey. But I think most of all is the experiences that I've had as a combat sports athlete, both negative and positive, in all of these situations, have set me up to deliver to the next generation of fighters a career path without all the negative experiences that I had, whether it be weight cutting, managers taking advantage of you, like flying yourself across the world to fight for $1,200, or like whatever it is. Like, I've experienced it all. I've had shitty weight cuts, I've had good weight cuts. I've used nutritionists that completely fucking destroyed my fight week. I've had some that have made it the easiest ever. I've made a foul. I flew to England and fought for less than what my flight was. Like I've experienced it all, and because of that, I can make sure that my guys never experience that.
Yeah. In these travels, have you ever gotten any shit or any blues or anything like that over there that you can talk on? Anything interesting?
Oh no, not really, man. No, I've never had, like, I've never found myself in any kind of trouble. I like to think I'm a pretty responsible person. I've had mates that have just got on the piss and fucking missed a flight from London back to Brisbane and stuff like that. And I don't know how they do it, man. Yeah, I've been to Vegas twice. I tried out for the Ultimate Fighter over there. I was a bit disheartened, so I went to the bar and I can wrote myself off. And I never had any fights or anything like that, but I definitely woke up in a mess in the hotel room. But I still,
no tigers in there, mate.
Talking to my wife, and I remember talking to my wife, and I was like, "Oh, my phone's flat." It was like 10 o'clock at night. She's like, "No matter what you do tonight, you make sure you put your phone on charge." I was like, "Yeah, cool." And I woke up the next morning, and there was a shitload of, I was sick, like really fucking sick, and I just woke up in it. But no matter what, like my phone case was under the bed, but my phone was plugged into the charger. So I don't know. I fucking don't, like, I was like 2 meters inside the door, face down the carpet. I don't know how my phone got on the charger, but it did.
Yeah.
And the alarm went off, and I still managed to make it to my flight. But that probably would have, if there was ever going to be a time I was going to miss my flight, that would have been it.
So it was like the hangover, mate.
But yeah,
you didn't wake up with a tattoo or missing teeth or anything.
Mate, you don't wake up with a hangover when you're still pissed. So it's I flew home. It was the worst flight ever from America back to Australia. I was still not in a very good state. I felt sick. But that's Vegas, and it crept up on me for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I've never had any bad experiences as far as like getting into blues or anything like that. That's, I don't know. I just tend to stay away from it. And I guess I don't go out and get on the piss and celebrate. I just go to whiskey bars. So like it's pretty safe, you go to a bar that's got 10 seats in it and drink nice whiskey and celebrate with your team. That's more like my style than going out to a nightclub, getting pissed and making a dickhead of myself.
Yeah. Mate, those years ago when you were in Macau, it was like I said, I think it was around 2012 when you fought over here. Your style seems to have kind of evolved or changed a bit. Back then you're a little bit more standoffish, and then in time, from my perspective, looks like you added up the pressure, like your pressure fighting skills seem to be increasing as your career moved on. Would that be correct in saying that?
Yeah, I think there's probably a bit more to it. It's probably like, I guess those early days, I had a real pressure game. Like my first 6 fights, which pretty much aren't online, was all like wrestle heavy, take people down and beat them up, and either get the sub or get the knockout, or it went to a decision. I went 6-0, and then I got subbed in a fight that I was easily winning. I got caught in a go-go plata, and then the next fight I had, I got knocked out, and so I feel like that really fucked me up for a long time. So I was probably had the better striking than most of the guys I was fighting, but after I got knocked out, I probably like 6 to 8 fights in a row, I was worried about getting knocked out again. And that makes you standoffish and probably makes you fight a bit different. And I'd be lying if I said it didn't affect me, because it did. It affected me a lot for a long period of time. But I overcame it, and I think the only way to overcome it was to throw myself into the fire. There was a couple of fights there where I just had to get hit, and you take the shots and you build confidence from that. And then as my career's gone on, I've had 36 fights in total, including my amateur fights, and I've only ever been stopped 3 times. 2 of those I was knocked out, I don't remember it, and the other one was the one in the Rizin GP last year, which I think was stopped like fucking way too early. I was still seated on my ass wrestling, and I feel like, old mate put a lot of pressure on me, and he was throwing a lot of shots, and it probably looked bad, but if I'm not on my back, like I feel it was weird. It's a weird stoppage, stopping it while someone's seated with an underhook, trying to counter wrestle someone that doesn't want to wrestle with them, which was highlighted by the first time he swept me and he didn't come to ground with me. So I feel like they should have let that go a bit, but so did the promoters. But that's the way it goes, I don't dispute losses. I take them like it is the sport, man. I just take them and move on. But yeah, I've only ever been stopped 3 times by knockout, and so I feel like at 1 in 12 fights is a pretty good ratio to being stopped, and I feel like I can take confidence from that. I mean, we train pretty heavily, man, and I don't get stopped in the gym, and I train with good level guys like Elliot Compton and that. And I mean, we're not trying to knock each other out, but like, even good clean shots, I feel like I sort of take them pretty well, even though I'm getting on the downward slope of my career probably, but I've always, that knockout and that fight rocked me a bit, for a good sort of 6 to 8, maybe 10 fights. But I definitely gained confidence over time on the fact that I could take some shots. And then I guess the longer it went, the more I was like, oh, well, I've only been knocked out once in 20 fights. And then it was like, I've only been knocked out once in 25 fights. And So you sort of just go, well, fuck, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, but it hasn't happened now. So I might as well just, you know, do my thing. And then, so you got that. And then you also got, like, I guess, working with Steve Compton with my striking game. Over time, we've just created a game where I can, you know, better head movement, better footwork, better levels. And I can just add that into my game that I probably didn't have at the start. You know, a lot of guys at the start of their fight career, it's like, I go, you go, I go, you go. And it's real Thai boxing sort of style where there's not much, you know, sort of, I guess we call it scrambling on the feet. So like that pressure on the feet and throwing while someone else is throwing. And it's hard to throw when someone else throws because there's a risk of getting hit. You know, it's 50-50 if you're both throwing at the same time. You got to be able to back yourself. And I feel like over time, being able to back my chin and have confidence in my ability and then add the new things I've been learning has developed my game into more of a pressure fighter style game.
Yep. And how closely have you trained with Adrian Pang? Because I kind of, when I look at you two guys fight, there's some similarities as far as wading into the fire and, you know, exchanging, etc.
Yeah, look, I mean, I trained at Integrated for 8 years. I went there in 2000. I went there at the start of 2011. I think I left there. I left there to start my last UFC fight, so it was like the start of 2018. I would say, fuck man, like probably besides Elliot Compton, maybe a couple other guys here and there. I'd say like I probably became one of his main sparring partners over that period of time. You know, for whether it was because we got along or whether it was just because we were the same weight class, you know, we fought at lightweight. But yeah, you know, we trained together every day. And it's his gym, and he was a senior student there as far as like the coaches, you know, when the coaches were their coach and he was the senior. And, you know, as with most martial arts, if they don't have a partner, you partner up with them. And I think that's how it started out, you know. It's always just like, hey, do you want a partner? Hey, do you want a partner? Because I was like the earlier one that had got there, like the last ones, and you always just offer up your services. And I think towards the end, man, we just developed into a you know, we just train together all the time. So yeah, we've definitely trained together a lot. But yeah, I'm just gonna wait.
I didn't know how to lock up. So
I'm just
that you're here.
okay. I'm just on a podcast. Say hello to. Hey, Mitch.
Hello.
Mitch is a physio that works at Base Training Center.
Awesome, mate, Mitch.
Damon's got me working hard.
See you, man. Yeah. So I think just over time, man, we just developed into training together a lot more. And you know, we had the same striking coach and the same grappling and MMA coaches. And I think, the more, you know, it's like anything in life, the more time you spend with people, the more you become similar.
Yeah, true.
I also think, you know, the saying that, that these days is like, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I've probably spent 10 to 15 hours a week with him. So, yeah, I guess that's where some of the similarities come from.
Yep.
I like to think I've developed over time, and I don't stand and fuck, he can back his chin, man. He's never been knocked out. So I like to think that we're not similar, because I definitely wouldn't stand in a pocket like he does. But I've certainly had some fights where I've done that, mainly the Camacho fight. But yeah, I guess we've probably got similar sort of styles, but definitely different. We're definitely different, that's for sure. But yeah.
And Damien, looking at like some of your podcasts, also just you didn't talk so much about like before you started any martial arts and what got you into. You said you started Zendu Kai, but what got you into it, and what interested you in martial arts as a youngster?
My dad put me into Zendu Kai. Me and my sister. You know, it's the same as me having jiu-jitsu here. You know, your parents put you into it because they feel like it's what's best for you. And then, you know, you either love it or you hate it. And then if you hate it, you go and play football. And if you love it, you keep doing it. fortunately for me, I did Zendukai 3 nights a week, and I trained for football 2 nights a week, and I played football on the weekends. And then once a month, I went and did tournaments in Zendukai. So it's like I had a very busy childhood. It was all about karate and football, and now it's all about MMA and watching football. So it's just something my dad put me into, and I just have a passion for it. You know, by nature of, years of moving around and all that sort of stuff, I was stop-start, like by the time I was 13, I'd stopped it. And then, I don't mind a fight on the football field or whatever. And, I just always like a bit of a knucklehead. And while I was in the army, I had some major surgery on my ankle, and, it comes back to that depression and everything that comes with that. Like the first time in my life, I was couch ridden, for 12 weeks. I put some weight on. I didn't know how to get rid of it. Anyway, one thing led to another, and I just went back to kickboxing. Like I just went back to some kind of martial art because I felt like, hey, listen, I know what works for me. I know what I need in my life. I need some martial arts. And, lifting weights, it's fucking boring, man. I hate that stuff. So like going and just lifting weights at the gym and doing HIIT training on the treadmill is like dumb. So it didn't stimulate me. So I needed something that stimulated me so I could lose a bit of weight and get something going on in my life again. And that was kickboxing. And fortunately for me, my first trainer in the army, or one of my first trainers in the army, was also fighting MMA at the time, Ian Bone. And he just started or helped someone start a gym. So he just had his own MMA classes and that. And I just went and seen him, and I said, hey, man, I need to lose some weight and I need to fucking get back into something. I can't pass my fitness test in the army because I'm injured. And we just started kickboxing, and then I had a couple of amateur kickboxing fights, and then I realized that shit hurts, because check kicks is not very sensible when you can take someone down. So we started doing MMA, and the rest is history. But martial arts was something I did as a kid, and when I needed it in my life again, it's something that I just turned to. And now I've made a career of it, and now I've made a future for it. So, yeah.
And what is it that drives you to wake up every day, to push hard in training, to get to that professional level, and then secondly to be jumping in the ring with another man who's trained the same to take it out on each other?
I'm alpha, man. I'm alpha. I want to know who's the best, and if it scares you, then it's fucking good for you. That's my opinion. And the greatest fear I've ever experienced in my life was while I was deployed in the Middle East. The quickest way to shit yourself is have someone fucking fire rounds at you. And when that's all gone, man, there's nothing. It's weird. It's weird. There's like a hollowness to you. And so martial arts seemed like a good way for me to fill that void. The problem with that is when the career is over, what do you fill it with again? Fortunately for me, I found that cornering athletes was as good as fighting. It makes me as nervous as fighting. I get as scared for them as I get for myself when I compete. So I feel like I've found what it is for me mentally and physically to carry on after my career whenever I decide to hang them up. But definitely I'm alpha, man, and I'm just that kind of guy. I'm competitive and I want to know who's the best. And I feel like I genuinely feel like people need fear in their life. A life of comfort's not worth living to me. So I feel like it tests me every day. Even now at like 36 years old, the young guys in the gym that we train with, they fucking don't stop, man. They're like Energizer bunnies. And so it gives me another thing to, I'm like, okay, well, I'm 36. How do I keep up with these young guys? Maybe it's changing my training a little bit, but I've still got to be able to do 3 to 5 productive rounds with them. So how do I survive? And then it's like solving a game. I just feel like the drive to test myself every single day. And drive to be better. And then, you know, I feel like it's like lions, man. There's a little bit of alpha in all of us, and that's the competition, you know, and that's what it is for me. And then, you know, memories. I want my son to look back, and, you know, he already says to me, like, Dad, can we watch your fights? You know, he's 4. Like, he'll watch UFC with me on the weekend. Then he'll be like, Dad, can we watch your fights? And, you know, in years to come, like, he's going to be able to look back on that and be like, my dad did this. You know, I hope that I fought so he doesn't have to. But yeah, it's just, you know, there's a bunch of different reasons. You know, every day is to develop and get that little bit of competition out, whether it's in the gym or whatnot, and then you know, create memories through competition for my son, and also to develop as an athlete and a coach so as I can pass on to the next generation. That's you know, more than anything right now, it motivates me to keep getting better, because there's people coming through that I need to teach, and they you know, I owe it to them to keep developing. So
awesome. Hey, Damien, also just touching on the fight psychology for yourself, how do you handle getting up in, you've been in some major organizations, must be a lot of pressure. You're fighting against very highly skilled guys in UFC, Rizin, etc. How do you handle that pressure and get up there and perform?
Well, you know, in 2014, I lost 4 fights in a row, and my record was 10-8, and I was like, if I lose another fight, I'm done. Like, I'm going to pack it in. And one of my sponsors put me in contact with he's not a sports psychologist. He's more like a mindset coach. He's an ex-police officer. He's been through PTSD and, you know, suicide and all that sort of stuff. And then he sort of made something of himself. And now he's got fucking books out and all sorts of stuff. And he, for me, it was very relatable. You know, being a soldier with PTSD and speaking with a former police officer, dog squad officer with that's been through it all, and then he's gone and turned himself into a mindset coach, and now he's helping people think different, you know, and that's all it was. Like, sports psychology is about thinking different, you know, strategies and thought processes and keywords, and it's kind of funny, but he really just said something to me in the first session we ever did, and like, I literally passed it on to everyone. And one of the biggest things with competition that you find is it's like the psychological stuff is like, oh, what are my family going to think when I lose? What's my coaches going to think when I get knocked out because I didn't move my head the right way? Or, you know, it's just all this. Most of it's not like, oh, I suck or I'm not good enough. It's all like outside influences is most of the psychology. Is the pressure is to perform for the people watching. And he said this thing in our first ever session, and it literally changed me overnight. And it was, what other people think about me is none of my business. And so he sent me away from that first 2-hour session we had, and he said, every time you think about a negative thought, you need to say that to yourself. And man, I did it for like 2 weeks, and it completely changed everything for me. Like, absolutely everything. I went on a 5-fight win streak. You know, we continued to see each other weekly up to the next fight, and then we sent, which was a win over Shane Young. And then it just kept developing from there. And, you know, we see each other less, you know, it might be every few months now, but I still talk to him 7 years on. He still helps me. And man, it's like, I can't even tell you what he did. Like, literally, people are like, how did he change you? I'm like, I don't know. I just talked to this guy for fucking 8 weeks straight, and all of a sudden I'm a different fighter. But the one thing I did take out of it was that phrase, and I really live by it. What other people think about you is none of your business. And so, you know, I just tell myself that whenever I find myself thinking about what someone thinks or how someone feels about me, I just, like, it doesn't matter. It's none of my business. So yeah, that's good.
That's
what
good.
It's been for me.
Damien, I was listening to a GSP interview the other day, and he mentioned about advice he gives to fighters, which is don't put all your eggs in one basket. You seem to be someone that's followed that, and through your early career you kept working in corrections, etc., so that you'd still have a base to fall back on, and now you've put yourself in good stead with a gym and everything well set up. Can you talk on that a bit?
Yeah, man. I think one of the mistakes, and you hear it all the time, like fighters always complain that they don't make enough money, like always. But no one ever goes and makes more money. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had a full-time career. I still work for corrections now. And I got a gym, coffee shop, physio. I got people renting my gym. Like, I still have a job at corrections. It's like, I just feel like, and it became apparent last year that it was a good thing to do when COVID hit, locked everything down for 10 weeks. I went back and started working. So it's like, I feel like people are like, I'm going to be the best fighter in the world. Like 1% of fighters make it to the UFC, and like 1 or 2% of those make money. So the idea that I was going to make it to the UFC at 31 years old, become the champ and make money in the deepest division in the world that had, Tony Ferguson on a 12-fight win streak, Nurmagomedov on a 9-fight win streak, like all like these fucking animals, you know what I mean? But like, you got to be real with yourself. Even if I won 3 or 4 or 5 fights in a row, I'm still only top 30 in that division. You got to win like 7 or 8 fights to become top 15. Look at Benil Dariush. Like, he's on like an 8 or 9 fight win streak, and he's barely scraped the surface of the top 5. So it's like I'm just a real person. And I just feel like, we have a responsibility as an adult to look after our family. As a man, I feel like I have a responsibility to look after my family. I've been married 12 years. My whole fight career, I've been married. And I feel like, buying a house and setting my family up and having a kid and all that sort of stuff, you just don't do that shit on a fighter's wage. You know what I mean? And like I said, there's the 1 or 2% that can do that. And then there's the rest of us that have a great career. The benefit of me working full time is that, like, I could take my fight of the night paycheck and all that sort of stuff, and I don't have to spend the next 12 months living on that with an injury. I take that and I reinvest it. So I put it into my house, and I sell my house, buy a bigger one, open a gym, all that sort of stuff. So I had the ability to look after my family from my job and use my prize money from fighting to build my future. And I feel like more athletes could do that. And, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't happy with the money I made. Like I was pretty happy that I made the money I made. And I always look back at like football. So in the 70s, people were complaining that they had to have full-time jobs and train Tuesday, Thursday nights for $200. But now they're making $1 million a year. It's like any sport. MMA is young. In 20 years' time, fighters will be making good money. They're making good money for where the sport's at right now. But people will always complain that they don't make enough money. And rightly so. I do think fighters should make more money. I do think if you compare it to boxing, then MMA makes fuck all money and the UFC makes a lot. So I think the UFC, the thing with MMA is that there's not organizations, there's promotions, and the promotions hold the power. And until the fighters hold the power, the promotions will make predominantly most of the profit, and fighters will get their 10 or 15% of the revenue raised. But I think that they need to complain about money. So in 20 years' time, they're making more money, and in 20 years' time, they'll still complain they're not making enough money.
Yeah.
I hope that in 20 years' time, fighters are fighting full time and making money and still complaining. But I think that people need to be real with where the sport's at and what generation of mixed martial arts they're involved in. And I feel like that's why I worked full time the whole time.
All right, man. Thanks. Looking back at some of your fights before chatting, and I love that comeback. Not comeback, the great KO you did back in UFC 201 for that against Amin Dia. I'm not sure how you say his name, but that was beautiful. I'll probably chuck it on this recording later just so someone can have a look when they watch this. What would you say is your most memorable or greatest fight that you've had?
Oh, look, man, I'd definitely toss it up between that one and the Camacho fight. I'm disappointed I didn't win the Camacho fight. It's one that would have easily, had I got the victory, it would have easily been the highlight of my career. Getting that victory in a split decision fight of the night in the UFC against a person that missed weight, that'd be the highlight of my career for sure. It's definitely one of the funnest fights I've ever been a part of. But the highlight for me is just when everything came together, and that's that fight that I won by knockout. I signed with the UFC. It brought a long 6 years of traveling the world to a head, and I was rewarded with the one thing that I set out to do, and that was a UFC contract. I know the feeling of relief that my wife probably felt as well was the same as me. You support this person's dream that you can't see relentlessly, and I know signing with the UFC was a big thing, and then it was a week's notice. So that Arzamendia fight in America was my first ever full-time fight camp without work. So I hired a dietitian, George Lockhart at the time. I went from 88 kilos like normal, but down to 74 instead of 78. I didn't have to use a sauna. I got cornered by 3 of my friends. None of my coaches were available at the time because of other people competing. So I flew over Ian, my original coach, who's now one of my close friends, Tyson Pedro and Ben 10. I got cornered by 3 of my mates. It was a fantastic fight week. I drank coffee all week with milk in it during fight week because my weight was so low. Man, everything was perfect. And then 4 days out from the fight, so 3 days, 2 days away from my wife flying to America to watch it. So my wife, my dad, and my brother flew over. What's happened here?
Camera up again.
Yep. There we go. Even
Sorry,
better.
man. You broke up on the gym description, so just give us a quick gym description, and I'll cut out this.
We've got a full MMA facility, so we do jiu-jitsu, multiple black belts, all still active fighters, and we got a physio clinic here, so we offer physiotherapy sessions. We've got a strength conditioning coach who also runs his own business out of here, and then we've got a cafe. So, but better still, man, I'm going to walk you through because I'm at the gym. So
sounds good.
I'm just going to kind of walk you through here, and I'll just point the camera. Hopefully, I get everything. But we got a retail store and fridge and everything. We offer meals and whatnot, and we'll just head through here. We've got a bathrooms, toilet, showers, the whole lot. Out here, we've got all our boxes. There's one of our amateur athletes there, Vinny, kids coach, Vinny Pierce. Obviously, we've got everything you can think of, from pads, tire pads, the whole lot. Wall mats.
Looks huge, man.
More wall mats than you could probably ever want, but probably not. We do use all of them. So we've got 250 square meters of mat space, and then over here we've got our gym area.
Awesome.
All our weights and racks and kettlebells and rollers and you name it.
Nice space, man.
Yeah, man, it's about 140 squares, that bit, and then we go out here and we've got our coffee shop. So that's open. That's open like 5 to 10 in the morning. So it's open to the public. It's not all for the gym, Every part of the gym's open to the public. So yeah, and up the top there, we've got a big back room up there. It's a storage room. It's all that space there is a waiting area. So that's where all our parents and partners and that, when people are training, they all wait upstairs. And then we've got some toilets and showers up there and stuff as well. So
perfect.
Physio rooms upstairs as well. It's massive, man. It's a huge facility. And like I said, every part of the business services are public. So we didn't put a physio in here just for our members or a PT just for our members. We've got everyone in here so we can offer physio services for anyone that needs them, and people can train without being a member of the gym with the PTs and whatnot. So yeah, man, it's a big facility. It's really exciting. We're a couple of years in. We've already got some local athletes, and we're doing really well. So I'm really proud of what we're creating.
I'm sure being the guy that you are, that everyone's welcome there. Young, old, tall, small, everyone welcome, right?
I don't discriminate. Jiu-jitsu is for everyone. You know, competition might not be, but everyone deserves the right to experience it. And I've got a really strong no politics policy, so I don't care what people wear. You can wear your Gara gi in here. You can wear your freaking Gracie gi in here. I don't care. If you need to train, my facility's open. We do casual classes and we do memberships. So, yeah, I don't care, man. Just come and train. Have fun.
All right, Damien. So I've kept you for quite a while. I just got 2 more questions. I want to know, what are your picks for the two upcoming fights? First, Adesanya Vettori. What's your thoughts on this fight? Who you got?
Well, I got Adesanya. I think he's way too intelligent. His attributes, his physical attributes, really are awesome at middleweight. But you know, the guys at CKB, they put the work in, and I think anyone at middleweight it'll be tough to beat him. But yeah, I think he'll stop Vettori this time. And I think with the recent passing of Farvake, I think man, those guys, they're going to be emotional, and I think they got a point to prove to the world. You know, yeah, rest in peace to the young man. But I got a feeling that those guys are going to be unstoppable for a bit.
Yeah,
they already are. But I got a feeling they're going to come in. They'll be prepared, point to prove, and I can't see Adesanya losing that fight.
You got to think Vettori will have a game plan of taking him down as he did in the 3rd round of their last fight, right? I think that'll be his thing. But CKB are going to be aware of that too, right?
Everyone wants to take Adesanya down. It's been their plan from the get-go. So the only person that's been successful in doing that and holding him there is Blankowicz, and that's a different weight class. So
yeah, true. And the last one, Conor and Poirier 3. What are your picks for that one?
Yeah, I think Dustin wins again. Dustin at 155 is hard to beat. I think at 145, that weight cut, that dehydration and fluid around the brain, like a lot of people go down there and get knocked out. They go down for an advantage. I think that Dustin's got a good chin on him, and I think he's been, you know, pretty much proved at lightweight he's hard to beat. I can't see Conor beating him again, but who knows? Maybe he makes the adjustments.
Conor hit him with that left hand a couple of times. It didn't drop him, so he looked a little bit phased, but not too bad. So, like you said, he's got the chin to handle.
The weight cut stuff, right? That's a whole nother podcast, man. The weight cut stuff in combat sports is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The less weight you cut, the more punishment you can absorb.
McGregor too started. He was doing a short sort of boxing style instead of doing his normal sort of long range kicks and whatnot. So let's see what happens with this one.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Well, Damien, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a busy man, and I thank you very much for giving me an hour of your time. Good work down there at your new base training center. Best of luck with that. And if you have any fights come out, best of luck with those as well, man.
No worries, man. Thank you very much. We got 4 guys on June 12th on XFC, so they'll be super exciting. So I appreciate you reaching out, man. Thank you.
Cool. All right, man. Thank you very much.